Last lesson we looked at the multi-store model of memory. Now we're going to look at different types of long-term memory. Now you've already done the coding capacity and duration of long-term memory within the multi-store model, but there are also different types of long-term memory. So for this lesson you need to either have your booklet, whichever way you're doing it, written into it or typed, or if you're writing notes on paper, just make sure you've got the booklet up somewhere you can see it on your phone. It's because there is a case study for you to read through again. Also, you will all need a separate piece of paper for the starter, just to make sure that you are answering the questions you need to. So, first of all, our starter, a bit of a recap. Now, I've put 15 minutes maximum. Some of these questions you will find pretty easy. It won't take you 15 minutes to do, hopefully, but you can take that long. That is the amount of time given in an exam situation on average, generally. So pause it here, time yourself 15 minutes maximum, and then we'll go through the answers. So question 1, a mark for the independent variable, a mark for the dependent variable. The independent variable is the amount of delay, or the time in seconds for the delay. The dependent variable is the amount of words recalled. Make sure they are operationalised, so amount of words recalled and time in seconds of delay. Number 2, identify the experimental design used in this study. It is an independent groups design. Now, because it says identify, you don't need to explain why, you just need to say the design. Then number 3, explain one limitation of this type of design. So one limitation of an independent groups design is that you could get individual differences between the groups. One group might have a better memory than the other, which would change the results. Number 4, the researcher wanted to find the average number of words recalled for each group. What would be the most appropriate measure to use to justify your answer? So you get 1 mark for identifying, 1 mark it would be the mean. The second mark is for your justify, so the second mark will be because it includes all numbers in its measure. Then number 5, the experimenter found that group B recalled fewer words than group A. Does this support the multi-store model? Explain why or why not. So I would say yes, it does support the multi-store model because group A had a delay of 6 seconds, group B had a delay of 20 seconds. So if you think about the capacity and duration of short-term memory, the duration is around 18 seconds. So group A is within the 18 seconds duration, group B is outside of the 18 seconds duration, so that is why it does support the multi-store model of memory, because we would expect some memories to fade after the 18 seconds. So let's get started on the lesson then. Like I said, we are doing types of long-term memory. There are 3 different types, and you've got a table in the booklet. Try and give examples from your personal experiences just to make it a little bit easier for you. So the first type is episodic memory. This memory is declarative or explicit. That just means you have to consciously recall it, so you've got to think about it. These memories are about events that you've experienced in your lifetime, and it's asking you to give an example of this for you. So mine might be, I remember St Helens winning the Super League trophy in 2019. I have to consciously think about that. I can't just say it, my memory has to search for it. So that is all declarative or explicit means. Let's try and think of an example that's specific to you to help you remember this. Number 2 is semantic memory. Now again, this is declarative or explicit, so you have to think about it, you have to consciously recall. And these memories are facts and knowledge, like capital cities, the meaning of words, your psychology A level. It doesn't contain information about when or where you learnt it, it's simply the knowledge. Now, if I give you an example of psychology, you might remember that the multi-store model is done by Atkinson and Schifrin. That would be in your semantic memory, but you wouldn't remember where you did it. Because we only did it recently, you might go, yeah, I did that in my bedroom or I did that in the living room. But give it a few months, you might think, oh, it wasn't during the lockdown, but you won't remember specifics about it. It's just the knowledge that your semantic memory will contain. Then lastly, we have procedural memory. Now this is the opposite. This is non-declarative or implicit. That means that they cannot be consciously recalled, you just do it. So these are memories of how to do things like ride a bike, swimming, writing, driving, walking. You don't think about how you do it, your brain does it automatically, or your body does it automatically. So these are implicit and non-declarative. So that is what the procedural is. So now you've got all three different types of long-term memory, hopefully with an example that's specific to you as well to remember it. Just as a little bit of a summary, you can write this down if you want to, it's entirely up to you. But as a nice little graph, if we start off with long-term memory at the top, we can split long-term memory into explicit or implicit memories. You can call them declarative or non-declarative, it really doesn't matter, whichever word works best for you. And in the explicit or declarative memories, you've got the episodic and the semantic. In the implicit, you have got procedural memory. So you might want to draw that just to give you a little bit of context, give you a little bit of a quick reminder. Now, using your knowledge of HM and these facts, have a look at them, read through and think, what type of long-term memory is this, and is it damaged or is it intact? So you've got HM could not recall if he had stroked the dog half an hour earlier and could not remember having owned a dog in the past. HM understood what a dog was and could identify one in a picture, or HM knew how to tie his shoelaces, how to walk and how to speak. So what type of long-term memory is each of those? Is it damaged or is it not? So let's have a look. First one, he has got a damaged episodic memory because he cannot remember a specific event in his life. But he has got a normal or undamaged semantic memory because he knows what a dog is. And he's got a normal procedural memory because he knows how to tie his shoelaces, how to walk. So it's just the episodic memory that is damaged for HM. So can we say that HM supports different types of long-term memory? Yes, we can. This is something that you could use in an essay question or an evaluation if you would need to. It shows support for different types of long-term memory. Now we've got a little bit of research into long-term memory. So Tulving in 1994 conducted PET scans on participants whilst performing various memory tasks. These tasks were involving the semantic, the episodic and procedural, and he found that tasks involving the episodic and semantic memories both involve the same area of the brain, so the prefrontal cortex. Semantic memories on the left, episodic memories on the right. A little bit interesting, probably not coincidental, that these are both the explicit memories that you have to consciously recall. Procedural memories aren't in the prefrontal cortex, in a different area. So a little bit of interesting fact for you. But the fact that it's a PET scan makes it more scientific because the research can't bias it, just is how it is. So a little bit of exam practice in your booklets too. 2 questions, 7 minutes, might not take you 7 minutes, that last one's only 1 mark. Explain 2 differences between episodic and procedural memory for 4 marks. You have to use comparative language, and I'm saying have to. You could write the exact same thing, missing 1 word and get 0. I'd do 2 differences, make sure they are very clearly 2 separate differences. And then the bottom one, complete the following statement about long-term memory. Information not available for conscious inspection refers to, and then you've just got to tick a box. So pause it, 7 minutes maximum. So 2 differences, you could have gone straight in for the definitions, such as 1 difference is episodic memory is memory about events, whereas, now the whereas is important, procedural memory is memory about how to do things. And then your second one, another difference is episodic memory is explicit and is consciously recalled, whereas or however procedural memory is implicit, so it is not consciously recalled. And then complete the following statement. Information not available for conscious inspection refers to procedural memory, so it's B. Next, we've got another case study. So can you pause the video, read the case study of Clive Wearing in your booklet and link it to long-term memory with reference to the different types. Take different little bits out Just a little bit of background for you. We do say Clive Wearing instead of CW because I think mainly because he was a radio presenter. That's the only reason why we know his proper name, but it's fine that we know that it's not an ethical breach. So hopefully you should have read through that, and now we're on to the last little bit of evaluation. So we have 3 strengths and 1 weakness overall. First one, supporting research for different types of long-term memory. Use either Clive Wearing or HM. Both of them work. Whichever you're more comfortable with using in an E, that is fine. In your comment, why is it a positive that we have got supporting research, as well as the fact that it's in a lot of detail? But counter-argue with a sentence or two about this case study, why is that negative? Don't go into too much detail on your counter-argument because that's our weakness. And number 2, supporting research using brain scans. Your E will be information from tooling. So your C, you need to link to that being scientific. So be specific in your key terms, makes it replicable, it's objective, and so on. Strength number 3, I've done most of it for you. It's useful, really. It provides real-life application because research has shown that episodic memories can be improved by training a group of elderly participants with mild cognitive impairments. They showed significant improvements in their episodic memories in comparison to a control group. So this is benefiting someone's quality of life, and it is reducing the amount of care that someone might need. If you think of someone that is quite elderly with quite a lot of memory problems, they might need carers, they might need a lot of support from the council or wherever, but if we can improve their memory a little bit, they might need a reduced amount. And lastly, weakness, the use of case studies, and why is this a negative factor? It linked to Clive Wearing, HM would work, but to make it a little bit different, if you've used HM for the first one, Clive Wearing the second, just to make it a little bit different. But again, I counter-argue this with, yes, it is very specific, we can't generalise it, however, we do have a lot of specific detail and it has improved our knowledge on different types of long-term memory. So try and counter-argue as much as you can to make your PECs more of a discussion than just an evaluation. Now that is the second lesson for this week done. On first lesson I said we would do the second model of memory by the end of this week, but a bit of a change of plan. We're going to do a little bit of a recap revision lesson instead again for the third lesson on memory and research methods and things like that, because the next model of memory is a little bit bigger. So we'll do that next week. We'll get through that and make sure we've done it in as much detail. We've not gone through it quite quickly. So keep on revising. Keep on going, make sure you email me any questions that you may have. Hopefully it's all going okay.